I'd like to say a very warm welcome to Hanna, who's with
Hi.
us this evening. Hanna has been on here before, talking about her Lightworkers Unite and the Ascension methodologies that she does to help Lightworkers awaken and really sort of get more in the light and more in tune with the changes that are coming on, really. So I guess what I've got Hanna on here to talk about is that she's inspired to step more into her ascension work really by sort of losing more attachments around money and things that go with that. Now, we recently interviewed a chap called Mark Boyle who did an experiment where he literally gave up living without money for a year and then continued to do so for more than 2 years and is continuing to do that. So you've kind of been inspired from Mark and through your own inspiration, I guess, and from your own higher self, is it, if you call that, to sort of follow a similar path. So I just wondered if you could just, enlighten us with what you're going to be doing.
Yes, I can. It was actually, I came across your interview with Mark after I had kind of come to a bit of a crossroads, really. So I saw that as just a further sign that what I was feeling and what I was developing in terms of making a decision was correct. So that was interesting. I did find him after that. But yes, I suppose I just made a video recently about actually my life over the last 6 years, because really since 2005, as you say, obviously I've done many interviews with you before in the past. I've been on this continual sort of path of what I call reawakening or rebirthing, really. And so this next stage, as I see it, this sort of journey, which is going to be a very external journey this time, where a lot of people can see what's been going on for me, I guess, is just a culmination of where I've been led to, if you like. So it started with me actually coming to quite a crossroads in the last couple of months. Obviously, I trained as a psychotherapist and was working in terms of that, and had been teaching workshops and courses over the last few years, but actually what I was doing, although it was fulfilling in some respects, I've shifted and changed quite a lot, and it was very important for me to be able to be feeling that everything I was offering was from my heart and in highest alignment, obviously, for the earth right now and for people. So I started to feel that some of the courses I was offering, although they were mainstream and people enjoyed them and it offered healing, some of these things, for example, were angel work and sound healing. I felt that no matter what courses I gave, it always came down to the same point, that what I most enjoyed and what I felt was most beneficial was about the personal soul merge, so the journey of ascension and the shift that we are going through, which I think will culminate in a massive earth change. So what really has happened is I feel I've been prepped by, if you like, the spirit side and my higher self and the spirit world. I've been led through a training, really, that's why I see it, the last few years, and I basically thought, well, okay, I've finished my private practice now, I've finished doing all these courses, I'm not going to be able to continue paying my rent based on leading workshops about the new earth and planetary shift, because as I'm sure you're aware, Ian, it's not, although there are many, many, many people working with this, it's not what I would call sort of that, it's not mainstream, it's still not quite, some people obviously still don't even know we're going through a giant shift, for example.
Yeah, it's still very niche, really, isn't it?
Yes, it is kind of niche. So what I'm doing really is I've been coming out of the closet. I mean, I did a video about that, but really I have been coming out of the closet externally. So a lot of people, even around me, family and friends, for example, I've been able to hide a little bit about sometimes, I don't sort of need to go about and say what I do or what my beliefs are, but really it was a choice for me, which meant that if I continued to follow my heart, I was going to have to make a choice. I was going to have to go back to working in psychotherapy or opening my private practice again, which I did finish because actually it had made me quite ill at one point. And I started out loving it, but I actually realised it was quite energy draining and that people were looking for magic. They wanted you to be able to heal them. My work with the New Earth workshops are about inspiring people to help themselves. They are not long courses that cost heaps and heaps of money, which I feel quite strongly about, that's not benefiting people right now. And so my decision, really, I saw this image of myself with a suitcase in a green field, and my logical mind is going, "Oh dear, what's coming?" And my higher self, or the unseen realms, the way I see it, describe it, was sort of suggesting to me, "Okay, so you've been waiting for people to come to you. What we now need to do is to relinquish, if you like, your last attachment, this money that I'm requiring to spend every month." Was going to literally stop me from being able to do what I love to do, and I really have been on a cleansing journey in terms of everything else. So really, I suppose my home is like what you could consider my last major attachment. It's not something I want to do for. I'm not getting into self-sacrifice here or punishment. It's something that, because I'm wary of that, and I think we all need to be aware that it should be a joyous journey. And I want to really, I guess, try and demonstrate to people out there that I can go out there with a suitcase. And of course, I'm not going to be on the streets. So I know that there's many people who've been supportive and said that I can stay with them for a time and things. But I want to demonstrate really that you can still live through it, that you can be okay, that you can, like me, have thousands and thousands of pounds of debt. You can, live without a television. You can turn vegan and still be alive and be healthy. You can. All of the changes that I have been through, I hope, have inspired and shown people that you can live actually without these things, and actually you can do it and be really happy and free. So, as you can see, there's a lot to it, but I'll let you speak now.
Yeah, okay. I guess the question that's on everybody's mind is, what has given you the inspiration to do this? What insight have you had to put you on this road?
Okay, so I suppose the way I see it is that I have developed my connection with what I perceive as guidance, which normally it's a heart feeling. So I tend to live my life differently to people that are, I don't want to sort of put too many labels around it, but sort of living more in the system or in the norm, the way that we've been trained, let's just say the way we've been socialised, which is to go with the mind, is to go with sort of, how I should do this, I need this money, I need to have this. It's all geared around keeping us controlled. So I need to live in this box, therefore I need money to do that, therefore I must do a job which gives me money, so therefore I might have to sacrifice doing something I want to do in order to. So I've been living by the heart for a while, I would say, and making decisions from that place. So I resigned from my job and so forth 3 years ago. So my inspiration really came because of a set of events which led me right to this point. So my husband at the moment is residing in another country. Will be moving to America at some point. We don't know when, but that's in process. Because I, of course, gave up my private practice and made these decisions from my heart, although my head was saying, whoa, hang on a minute, you're not going to have money by doing this. I just, if you like, in every decision, I believe there's a decision of faith and of love, of feeling this feels good. And there's a decision of fear and of a cognitive, what I call, as a trained psychotherapist, I would call that a cognitive response, something that would come in and suggest, we can't do this because this isn't, So that it's very valid because we're still on the physical realm. We need to be able to take care of ourselves. But for me, this was a crossroads, and my guidance was on a visual level that I kept seeing myself with a suitcase, and it was after a series of, I started to cleanse my home because my vibration had raised significantly, meaning I was in a very happy place. I think the more that we cleanse ourselves, the more that we heal inside and do our work, the freer we actually feel. So the more that we vibrate in a space of sort of generally feeling good. I mean, if everyone, just put it simply, if everyone out there suddenly started to think, okay, I'm going to do what I want to do, there would be, I'm sure, a lot of chaos first of all, but then order would come into that, and people would generally be happier on the go because they'd be doing what they wanted to do, what their heart suggested, what their feelings suggested, rather than what their head suggested, and what our training is to be able to feed the system, to be controlled and so forth. So I just saw the suitcases. I started cleansing my house, and I thought, okay, I keep cleansing and I'm cleansing and I'm releasing all of this stuff from years, and I just thought, oh, I'm not going to be living here anymore. And then that's how it began. And really over a series of about 3 days, I was bombarded with, I mean, I've had a lot of guidance in the past and a lot of very amazing experiences, but I started to see where we were heading on a larger scale and what we would need to do to prepare. And I was guided that now I needed to take this information out there, and I needed to not be afraid to do that, because it would mean that I, yes, was putting myself out there and saying some things that would perhaps cause adversity and judgment. But I really do feel we are heading for the collapse of the monetary system. I feel that we're heading for a time where, if that happens, obviously it's going to cause major issues for everybody in terms of food, what we can eat, how we're going to get around. I think we might live through a time where all of the things that we've taken for granted are possibly going to collapse around us. And so I saw all of these things over the period of about 2 or 3 days, which all this information was about learning all of a sudden how to live off the land and learning to release now all these attachments and not get too used to things now, to prepare myself and therefore to prepare other people for this. So it's been incredible. And yeah, I've released a lot of things, and some of those things have been painful. The use of sort of cosmetics. I mean, that's been a really hard one for me, I must admit. I kind of threw it in the bin and then pulled it back out of the bin again. And, it just shows me this journey I've been on, where as a woman, how controlled I am as well, and how attached I may be to what I perceive as how people may look at me and judge me for the way that I look. And many other things, about personal sort of care. I was just looking at my shampoo one day and I thought, what is this made up of? How is this made? And this is full of chemicals. And if all of a sudden we needed to, how would we make our own soap? How would we make shampoo? How would I make clothes when, as a modern woman, I don't know how to sew?
How do you make fresh water as well?
Exactly.
There's lots of things. And also, I guess, learning to plant your own crop and seeds. And
yes, definitely. And I think these are all things that I had thought of, and my journey obviously has been one of great change in the last sort of 6 years. But it's like this all came to me quite sort of suddenly, and it really did make me sort of feel that for me right now, I've already lived without a lot of attachments. I mean, for some people, I still have people that have visited me saying, I can't believe you don't have a television, and I've lived like that for a year and a half. I mean, I do have access to watching films if I want to. I have my laptop. But even that I haven't really used. Less and less I've wanted to do that. I found that what really inspires me and what has been guiding me, especially as a sound healer in the last couple of years, is what I perceive as a sort of growing connection with what I call the indigenous peoples. And I don't need to know them to be able to experience that. I hold certain inspiration and guidance from different sort of figures on the inner realm, and one of them is a Navajo chief, and he inspires me and often comes up in meditations. And for me, I just feel that we've lost so much where we are, and if we could get back to that beautiful simplicity that the Navajo peoples and the Hopi peoples, and which I believe that we did have in Atlantis. Of course, there was a lot of technology there, but if we could get back to that simplicity of being able to live close to Mother Earth, we would all be so much happier. And so most of my time I do spend outside in nature, obviously, especially when the weather's nice, it's a lot better here, but outside in nature, walking. I think being healthy right now, and physical health, which I've been concentrating on because that was bad for me for a time, because of the choices that I've made. So I've really spent the last, I would say, 6 months pulling back completely. And I know that a lot of people have been experiencing, since the end of 2010, the intense energies that have sort of intensified and quickened our life experiences. But I've really pulled back, and I've worked on myself in terms of building my strength, my stamina, my physical, health, because if we don't have that, we really are in trouble.
Yeah.
And just being able to find that simplicity, and naturally, of course, I'm very aware of many sort of spiritual teachers that have lived, and people that I admire, like Gandhi, obviously, and those modern teachers out there that are helping the planet, like Eckhart Tolle. And for me, it's been always, I've read things in the past, and I have studied. Obviously, I've studied a lot academically as well, but I've always believed that we learn best from our own centre, and I stand by that. And there are some things currently which I get slightly annoyed about, and passionate about, that is going on out there in the New Age field, I suppose. I mean, I don't fit in any one camp. I'm not quite a psychotherapist. I'm not really a scientist. I'm not New Age of it. And for me, it can be difficult, but I feel we have to find our own mastery. And I think there's a lot of teachers out there, or people out there at the moment, because let's face it, for me, calling myself a teacher, a spiritual teacher, that means that I have to be, just like any politician or so forth, I am subject to certain, I suppose, criticism, and that goes with it, unfortunately. I'm putting myself out there to be a role model, and I do say it's not something you would ask for, it's a calling. I started off thinking I was a business. No, I'm not a business. It's something different. It's been my life. Your life, it is your life. You embody it. And there are people out there at the moment that are taking a lot of money from people, which is fine. It's all good, and these things can bring great healing. But I don't know how much sometimes these really long courses and this very mainstream stuff is helping people right now, because I do think time is of the essence. And I just feel that people out there, I don't want to name names, but there's people out there that have become businesses. They may have, in the beginning when they started out, come to it through a calling or something, or their own life, but they've lost the way. And I feel it's sad, because they're not demonstrating in their life anymore. They're just sort of, I don't know if they've become, they've lost touch, or things have happened to people. But
I think it's the system starts to dictate how you live your life, isn't it? Because of the scarcity factor. People are constantly in fear of not having a shelter, not having security, not having food. And so even if you claim to be someone living in balance and being spiritual, at the end of the day, you're in a system that kind of forces your hand to live a certain way. And, from what you're saying, and also from what I've read from quite a few other teachers, or I don't know, people on the internet that talk about money, money people basically, all seem to be saying that there could be a collapse in the future of the US dollar and the monetary system. And you think, well, how is that going to impact us? What does that actually mean? Because if you look at it in a realistic kind of way, a collapse of a monetary system could be quite a frightening experience, because when you're in a system where you've got have and have-nots and disparity, suddenly you're going to have people that want something that they couldn't have before. And then, for a while, there's probably going to be, maybe chaos, where people are trying to keep hold of what they had. But I guess eventually, maybe once everyone's got nothing and you've got nothing left to lose, then it's about knuckling down, perhaps. You've got shelter, because obviously the houses are not going to go anywhere. You might not be paying a mortgage company for it, but you obviously want to have some kind of shelter. And then you probably want to start growing your own crops and probably building your own spiritual communities. I mean, do you see it kind of panning out that way, or is it like a complete surprise and it could be something completely different?
I think I mean, to be honest, I have to say, it's hard. It's hard because when I was seeing these, when I was having my sort of intense guidance for a couple of days, just, I guess, a further awakening to things, I was seeing quite a stark sort of reality, and that did shock me, because I must say I hadn't really sort of perceived that before. I hadn't really seen that before. And it didn't frighten me. I'm not frightened by I know at the beginning, and I think it can be. I think there's an initial stage as we come round to sort of being a little bit more aware of maybe the shift or what we may be facing. it can be fearful in the beginning, but it's not that it frightens me, because I totally trust that those that are living from the heart space, it really is a simple thing. I do trust that everyone will be fine and will be moving forward to what I perceive New Earth as. But I must say, I don't think we'll go anywhere. When I think it's very symbolic, and I also think it ties in with quantum physics. So I feel that the way I perceive it now is that I feel we are living already within two realities, and how extensive this shift is, and exactly what happens on the physical plane, I don't think anyone can quite predict, because I think it does tend to shift a lot, and it can change moment by moment. But it wouldn't surprise me if we do lose, obviously, a lot. I mean, if the monetary system goes down, if everything, fuel will run out, for example, how are we going to, how will people travel? Will airplanes still run? I don't drive. Interesting enough, I've never wanted to learn to drive, and I certainly not bothered about doing that now. So those things for me, sometimes I when I've had this guidance, I suddenly thought, oh, that's why I didn't do that. Oh, that's what. So I guess both my family lived quite simply as well, and I have a Swedish sort of background as well with my father's family, and they were sort of lived quite simply. And I just feel the more that people are steeped in what I perceive this very materialistic world, where it's just filled with stuff. I mean, I've been there myself. A lot of my debt as well, from when I first went out to university, and what I perceive as, I was living quite unaware of so many things back then, and quite sort of had a difficult childhood, and so it took me a long time to sort of find myself and my place. And I was very hung up on things and clothes and all sorts of, and it's just that that has become less and less and less, so much that now I don't feel a need to buy things. I feel a need to eat. And, unfortunately I don't have a garden here, but if I did, I would be growing my own food. And just step by step, all of that world has completely been I've been moved outside of that world a lot. I mean, I still obviously live here in physical reality with everyone else, and that's why I find it very disconcerting now when I do when I meet with people that live quite differently to me, and I wonder if sometimes wonder, I think, they'd be shocked to kind of live the way I do sometimes, with, going about my day doing generally what I want to do. Most of the time I spend time doing my light working, trying to get information out there to people on the web. It's nothing I get paid for. I spend time trying to keep my vibration very high, so being out in nature, keeping myself happy. I think there's a lot of people out there at the moment who give themselves a hard time because they don't have a job, they don't have yet they're doing so much good because their vibration is affecting the whole, meaning that their frequency they operate at, they're happy people, they're joyous people. They may not be sort of working, or they may not be doing what we've been told we should do as we grow up, yet they are contributing to a higher vibration on the planet, which affects the whole. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think we need to sort of wait and see how things play out. But I know that I'm being guided to move before what I feel will be a sort of a pole shift, or and further sort of difficulty on the physical plane. I'm being guided to move to America, to an area called Mount Shasta, where I believe a lot of people have visited or gone there for the same reason, because it's actually the root chakra of the earth. But I know for now my job is to just be able to get out this information and to be able to do my talks and my workshops, which really tend to, from what I've seen and what I've heard from people, tend to inspire them, and to be able to bring them back to the soul level, to empower them to feel that connection. I don't think we need now reams of books or courses. I think this is all, again, further attachment from the teachers that I respect and I hear as well, and people out there. It is the same message, that all we have to do, it's incredibly simple. You can get there looking at it from a psychological healing route, you can get it there from a spiritual route. We need to be balanced on mind, body and soul. So not leaving any one of those out. Anytime we go too far in one of those spheres, we'll fall out of alignment. That affects our ascension. But we need to come within. That means that our whole, if you like, worldview, we've been raised to live externally. But in the model of the holographic universe and in the quantum physics and the indigenous peoples, we are within, we create from within. So that external is not the be all end all. It's not that. We have to reside within. That's where everything happens from. So if we're creating our reality, if you've been living your whole life just focusing on out there, it's the wrong way around. It doesn't make sense. We need to be able to be within and have connection with ourselves and our heart to then see what we're creating, to be able to take that power back. But everybody lives, if something goes wrong, all of a sudden they're like, oh, I've got to tell people about it. They don't think just to sit for a moment and feel, okay, why is that happening out there in the external? Why is that being created? What is going on within me at this moment for that to happen? Or what is the lesson in this? Do you see? It's a completely different way of living. And I really feel we've got to get that down. And we've got to come back within, and we've got to realise that we are creating this dream, this outside reality, and that we are a soul, we are a spirit, and if, creating our reality, and we're in a human vessel, and that we must appreciate that. It's an amazing thing, but we don't see it the other way around. We've got to swap that, because otherwise when things become difficult on the external reality collectively, people will not understand. People don't seem to understand that their soul moves them to experiences in order to wake them up. So let's say somebody's relationship's just ended, or they've just lost a job. They don't understand that actually in essence there is a part of them, i.e. their soul or their higher self, which has caused that experience to trigger a response, so that they come within, so they awaken and they come to their self. And the more trauma and chaos and crisis that people have in their lives, unfortunately, it's hard for some people to be able to appreciate, but it's because they need it. They actually need that to awaken. Their soul is calling them for some reason to see something. And you see people out there, and you can look at someone's life. If someone calls themselves a teacher, or if someone says they're evolved, let's have a look at their life. What's going on in their external realm? How do they deal with what goes on? And are they facing crisis, or, and how is it that they're coping with that? Or are they generally quite happy with how that are teaching us, and say, do they look happy? Are they working with their inner self? Do they have like rings and rings of expensive clothes and loads of things and plastic surgery, or do they seem, what's going on with them externally? I think we've got a right to ask about that. I think we need to look at that.
Okay, so what's the next steps now? So are you going on the road soon, or you've got some more preparation to do?
Well, my preparation right now is still giving belongings to charity, and I'm selling off some things at my next event on Saturday. I'm basically at the moment looking for people to book my talks, my workshop basically, which is my show on the road, my New Earth Ascension workshop. I help people with the planetary shift. So everything I've been discussing, I help people with their personal changes. We come together in an amazing group experience, and we get to see what things. I think at the moment what I do in these workshops and what's most beneficial to people is that I do two things. We can't just deal with the spiritual, we also need to deal with the physical and the roadmap. So I tend to be able to create a roadmap. I show people the trends in terms of what happens on this path, and they get to be able to share with the rest of the group, so we can then build a support network just in that short time in that group, so that the brain, if you like, the ego, the mind can hold on to something. And then also in that experience we get to do soul work, which is the other side of it. It's that right brain experience, it's that inner level. So I'm basically looking for any organisations or festivals or groups that want to book me to come and offer this 2-hour workshop. And I obviously, as I say, I live on donations, so there's no set fee for the workshop. Organisations obviously they normally work things differently, but if, say, for example, somebody really wants to have this workshop, if they just find enough people, get together find a group. I mean, I'm even at this stage not adverse to, if somebody really can't find a venue, going out there and doing something in an open space. It's nice weather. I've heard that it's really important that I make sure that there are not, as least no barriers to basically me getting this teaching out there. That's my aim, because people need it and I want to give it. And I hope that really the ball's just going to start rolling, so that, if I come to an event and then someone else hears about it, and then, I can have donations enough to support my travel. I really just hope to keep moving around with my suitcase and to be able to have enough money really to eat and to travel and to stay places if I need to, or stay with people, so that I can continue to move around. This was always my vision, actually. Even when I was really young, I saw myself talking to lots of people, and I guess I was sitting around thinking it was going to come to me, and I just got shown the picture of my suitcase, and I'm actually writing a book. I've started my book, and it's all about this journey, so I'm going to be writing my book as I do this. So it's going to be exciting. I mean, I've had a couple of interests locally, so I think I'm going to be setting up a few of these things locally. And I really am, I suppose you could say, I'm putting myself out there in terms of trusting the divine and the community. I want to kind of prove that somebody can live doing what they love, and to be able to live and eat and support themselves, and to be able to continue to keep doing that with help, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's kind of my aim. But obviously it needs people to be interested, and it needs people to be able to help me, to help the world. I've got something I really want to offer. I've got something that I've been guided to offer. Now all I need is the people to want to receive that, and to help me on my way with that, really. Okay.
Well, it sounds a wonderful journey that you're going to be putting yourself onto, and I really hope people get behind you on it. And obviously, if this is the way that the world's going to shape out to be in the future, then it's an important mission to take. So, I mean, how can people get in contact with you if they want to book you for a workshop?
They can. I've got two websites, but they can contact me at the 3 W's and then Hanna Ehlers.com. So that's HANNA-EHLERS.com. And then Lightworkers Unite is another website. So basically just emailing me is the best from those websites. And yeah, just letting me know. I'm going to try and help. I mean, I know in terms of venues for people that want groups, where I can, I will try and sort of book a venue. But obviously, like anything, I need a certain amount of sort of funds to help me to be able to book things and pay for my travel. So as the ball gets rolling, it'll be easier, because then I will have hopefully set up certain. I mean, I'm leaving my home with a deposit, so that's something to start with. So we'll see how it goes. But hopefully I can spread some fun and some joy, and really just say to people, hey, look, it's not that bad. All our worst fears, and if I lose my home, or if I get all this debt and all of this, I'm like, you can still live through it, and you can have fun as well. It's not, you don't need to be so tied to this big system, especially if you're not having fun. It's just no way to live, really.
Yeah, I guess the only way you can get out of it is to just walk away from it. But I mean, how do you do that if you've got debt? I mean, do you have to clear your debts first, or? Oh
well, I'll wait till I've got the book deal, then I'll pay it off. No, I mean, I think I'm not. I must say, I'm not advocating for everybody to go and do what I'm doing. I really do feel each person has a sort of a divine sort of purpose within this, and all I'm doing is, it does seem to be for me that I've had to anyone that's sort of claiming to be a helper and a teacher or a leader of others, you get given the experiences so that you go through things over and above normally other people, and that's just tended to be my life. But there will be opportunities for people, but when it arises, all we need to do is trust our guidance in our heart at any one moment. It's not about saying, someone's done this, I'll go and do it, because that means they're not listening to their guidance, they're watching me. People don't need to watch me and do what I do. All I'm doing is helping them help themselves and get into greater connection with their heart guidance, if that makes sense.
Indeed. So you're basically, what they say is, a way shower.
Yes.
So we're showing the way. So that's, I mean, I really do wish you all the best of luck with your journey, and I do hope that you keep safe, and that people do get behind you with it. So
Thank you so much, Ian, and thank you for all your light working. You're always doing an amazing job yourself, so thank you.
Thank you very much.